Rise and shine, it's a new day. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all for the day 3 session of the 6-day national webinar series on living through literature, conventions, and connotations, organized by Department of English, Government Arts College for Men, Nandanam. The topic for today's session is Eco-Feminism by Professor Elango. I'm much privileged and honored to introduce the resource person for the day. Professor Elango has got 33 years of experience in teaching, and he's been a former associate professor and head of postgraduate department of English, the American College, Madurai. Now he's heading the postgraduate department of English in Mannar Tirumala Nayakar College, Madurai. And he is the founder director of Fourth Wall Theatre. He has directed and staged 18 classics, among which 9 plays are from Shakespeare. And amongst that, Hayavadana is the most famous play of it. Translator of the poetry written by transgender activist Kalki Subramaniam, such as Fate, I Wrote, and Phallus, I Cut. He has written and published the book Film Appreciation for Beginners, which is prescribed text for many colleges. He has served as a subject expert for various colleges in the state. He was the editor of the International Peer-Reviewed Academy Journal for the issue of Writing Resistance. He is a curriculum designer and academic trainer for many reputed institutions and a screenplay consultant. He has conducted more than 50 workshops on theatre arts for many colleges and school students. He was a resource person for workshop on eco-criticism, cultural studies, semiotics, myth criticism. Last month, he conducted a webinar on culture and myth for Anja College, Sivagasi, South India. The webinar content is available in the YouTube. And Professor Elango has been around to the American College and also Manna Tirumala Nayakar College. And I'm sure that the session will be enlightened by Professor Elango. I request Sir Elango sir to take over the session now. Elango sir,
Yeah,
please take over the session now, sir.
thank you, Dr. Rupana. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, sir.
Bamarani, for your nice words. Hello, fellow human beings. How are we doing? It's a fine time to talk about ecofeminism. Now, Madurai, for the second time, has been locked down, and the trees are standing still, like Shakespeare saying, the trees are our teachers. There are sermons in the stones. The hills are our silent judges. See, we are stranded. The rat race is past. It has come to a grinding halt. And I, particularly, with the housewife, looking at me, what are you going to do? This is a fine time, perhaps the aptest time to talk about ecofeminism. Ecofeminism works. It actually is founded on the idea, the realization rather, that both nature and women are exploited in a patriarchal society, in a male-dominated society. This term, ecological feminism, shortened as eco-feminism, was coined first in 1974 by Françoise Giovanni. It was 1974 she coined, but this idea, this realization has been well pervading the subconscious of all human mind, the collective human consciousness. See? Because ecofeminism is not modern or even postmodern. It is classical thought. The etymology of ecology. If you know the etymology of ecology, then you will find out how the primitive wisdom always preserved it as a way of life. It is not just a school of thought. It is not even an attitude. It came to the primitive man so naturally, as you find this battered old lady here, so casually conversing to a monkey who is almost asking for something or knowing how abouts, and surrounded by the trucks, plastic boxes, and men working there, the vegetables scattered around. There is a silent communication which surpasses all linguistic explanation that is going on between this woman and the primitive representative of nature. See? Because ecology, ICOS, eco has always been the prefix for very important things around our life, about our life. For example, economics is not just economics. What is economics? It is the art of household management. This ICOS, it's not just about the money. It's not just about the money. It is about the individual, the family, the movable property, and the immovable property also. That is very important. If you read the classical treatise of Aranyakas, see, the document still exists in English translation also. There they talk about even forest as of three different kinds. One is natural forest. In Tamil, you can call it Perungadi. And then the other is the natural forest is one, you see, vana. See? And this forest as a property of an individual household becomes Shrivan. Shrivan. And the property, the forest as a place of meditation stands as Tapovan. That is why Tagore, you see, even when we claim Tagore as an international or a cosmic man, Tagore claims that Indian civilization grew from forest. It learnt its principles of democracy and diversity from it. That's what he says in his famous essay, Tapovan. You see? So this Tapovan, the forest, is of three kinds. One is the natural forest, which could be a protection to the area. There may be animals, wild animals. It may mark the border of a society. And then you have the cultivated forest. As I spoke in the last webinar, cultural materialism and culture and myth. As I spoke, I pointed out how the word culture should have originated from cultivation rather than from cult or cultus. Because cult is religious, whereas cultivation is culture. So this is a kind of culture. So that forest, the personal forest, if you read the verses of Andal, you will understand both the time and the space would have been divided into smaller space, personal space, and the public space. The time as what you call the wee hours of dawn. Chitranjirigale. The little morning, the morning grows into a larger one, something like a public vision, a spectacle, a perspective. Humanity wakes up and it begins to work. Now here you find the eco-feminism in itself. There's something happening between number 3 and this session. I don't know. It is not premeditated. It came so naturally, like the tree forest. See, there are 3 waves in eco-feminism. This, in feminism, there are 3 waves. And this eco-feminism belongs to the second space, second wave. The first wave is the right to vote, suffrage, which started in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Franchise, the right to vote. And the third wave, you see, is what 1990s, what you call the feminist punk subculture. You see, many of the slides now I am using may appear cluttered. This pandemic time is a time for take away food, take away bride, take away lessons, like that. Most of the slides I have been using and I'm going to use are all takeaway slides, because that is a problem of the aging. I want to say so many things, I may not have time. So these slides are takeaway slides for you to go and concentrate on the various aspects which have constituted the slides. For example, the pictures you have on your left, you have the dancer, you see, raising the leg above her head. You see, defiance of how to dance. You see, dance is an expression of freedom. If you think that woman cannot dance as well as a man, if Shivagami will be defeated by Shiva, Nadraj, you see, Abhirami will be defeated by Nadraj, then what? I too can dance. That is what the dancer, you see, I think it is Shobana, the dancer, you see, the actor and the dancer Shobana. She acted in the film a version of Mahesh Tatani's Dance Like a Man, you see, and Shobana lifts her head, legs above her head. That is a defiance. That is breaking free of the confines, the frame into which we want to put the woman. You see. And on the right side, you have the woman trying to fix to her image. You see, to her image. An image has been created by the mainstream, the patriarchal society, and now this lady tries to create her own image. You see, what you call in ballet, a pirouette. You see, how can we tell the dancer from the dance? WBH says, you see, like that. She tries to create an image of herself, as Kalki Subramanian wrote, Vidiyai Elvine, fate I wrote. Why should I live as predestined in the classical concept? Now, this third wave in 1990s, if you watch the colors, I have used letters, property here has been done with green color, and vote has used a red color, whereas this feminist subculture uses many colors, you see, and these colors are all fluorescent, you see. They defy to put themselves under the grammar of painting. See, punk means defiance. In fact, the original meaning of the word punk is rotten wood. It's a useless fellow. Like Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry would say, come out punk and make it a day to me. The punk is a defiance of the mainstream of society. Whatever has we have told the young people proved to be wrong, illusion. If it is Second World War for European community, it was the Boer War for British, and it was the Vietnam War for America. They had informed these people that to die for your nation is dying for your honor, to dying for your God. And back in the war, they saw humanity dehumanized. So they came out and proclaimed themselves as punk. You see, I won't live in the mainstream of life, because what you have put as the mainstream is actually a lie, a blatant lie. And I am going to do exactly opposite to whatever you tell me. That is what they said. So this feminism, you see, wearing a kind of fluorescent color socks and the different color shoes, and the lasers are so different from the shoe color. Or if you have a crew cut, which is called a navy cut, this punk could cut his hair here and there and there. You see, I won't stay in the mainstream of society. I will just do whatever you ask me to do opposite to it. You see, I will defy all your statements. My ideas will be contradicted. This is the third wave. You see, just because I am presenting all these waves so emotionally, don't think that I am supporting any particular wave or any particular thing. That is not the idea. That's not the idea. It is for you to create a dialogic, a dialectics. You have to create it. You see, dialectics is always created as something between the thesis and an antithesis, whereas dialogic talks about the possibilities of coexistence of the opposites. You see, the other defying the self, the margin defining the center. You see, that is what is the second wave of feminism. Shall we get the slides back? The second wave of feminism talks about, talks about the right to property. This right to property also involves the right over the body. The right to, I can decide what my body should be. For example, as the women started cutting their hair short, men started growing their hair long. It was a defiance against the mainstream. So, in this right to property, ecofeminism occurs in 1970s and 1980s. Before that, in 1974, you see, she has introduced, coined the expression ecofeminism. But we have to understand there was a paradigm shift. There was a thought shift because ecofeminism was a takeover from eco-socialism. Eco-socialism. See, this eco-socialism ought to be approached very carefully. For example, if the came into existence in 1974, the Chipko movement happened in 1973 itself. Even before that, as the slide reads, in 1964, there was Doshali Gram Swarajya. And well before that, in 1731, Kejri tree people, to protect Kejri tree, scores of people died, refusing to give this Kejri tree to the king's palace. You see, the Chipko movement, Chipko means hug. Popularly, it became internationally famous as tree hugging movement. There are two slides, two pictures are there, rather, two images are there. See, these two images, both are tree hugging. But as I have already told you, take away slide. Now, can you sense the difference, the psychological difference, the philosophical difference? These people are children of nature. They are not philosophers. They are not scholars. They are not even trained activists. They belong to that place. They live in that place. Now, the first slide, the one on the left, you see, since we read from left to right, I use left for first. You see, of course, I am a Marxist humanist, to open it. You see, Marxist humanist. You see, on the left, you have them protecting the tree. It is like the she hen protecting its chicken. You see, don't you feel so? Don't you feel so? Whereas on the right, you find children hugging the tree. You see, like a child would go and hug its mother for protection. The first is mother, the other is the children. Both these possibilities, because it is not a philosophy. It came out so naturally. When people asked for 10 ash trees to create agricultural tools, as a self-help movement. Today you have self-help groups like that. In 1970s, they formed, Sundarlal Bahuguna formed a movement, you see, self-help movement in the Gandhian way, for which they needed 10 ash trees. But since it was forest area, these people were also living in the forest, tribal people. The trees were theirs. If you get time, you read Chief of Shuttle's letter, or rather a speech to the American president, when American president wanted the Red Indian chief, Sitting Bull, Chief of Shuttle, to lease the lands for American government. The chief wondered, Mr. President, I don't know how I can sell or lease this land, how I can sell my air, how I can sell my water. I just live here with the land. I just live here with the animals, birds. So these animals, birds, the land, the water, the air, they have equal rights as I do. I don't own this property. I don't own this property. He was not even able to understand how the president could ask him to lease the land as if the land was his. That was the kind of ICOS, a kind of integrated ICOS, like that these people were living. They wanted to use these trees to make tools. There are some people who, when they want to build houses with trees, they would go to the old trees and cry that, why can't you help me? I want to build a house. I want to protect my children. Why can't you help me? Then mythologically it is believed that the tree would die so that the people can take away the tree and make doors. So this is in their blood. You read Dravidian literature, Changam, classical Tamil poetry, you'll understand the ecological sensibilities were so well with them. Like the famous poem, once we were in Nachinai, once we were playing, the friends we were playing, விளையாடு ஆயமோடு வெண்மணல் அழுத்தி. These children forget to take away the seed with which they were playing. You see, in Tamil they call it kichi kichi tambalam. You see, you gather sand and two people sit in front of each other and they bury the seed for the other to find out. And when they forget to take away the seed after the game is over, after a few days, the seed grows up, sprouts out into a beautiful tree. And these children, like all other children, they pour milk and honey to develop grow the tree. And one day, her mother, the child's mother notices this child rearing the tree, and the mother says, now she's your sister. It's actually a love poem. It's a love poem. I'm not going into the poem. She says, it's my sister. The girl, when she grows up, take the tree as her sister. Like we say, mother tree, father tree, Mariamman, Mari, Kali, Durgai. You see, the tree is considered as our kith and kin. You see, it is not a different entity. That is what an integrated oikos is. The household is the man, not really his property. It is his. It is his relation. It is a sense of belonging. So you find when these people asked for just a few trees, ash trees, to make their own tool, agricultural tool, the government refused. But immediately after that, for Simon industry, they gave 300 trees. When the fellers came to cut the trees down, these people did not allow. They hugged the trees and protected. The thugs were not able to do that. The gundas came, the thugs came, the hooligans came, the murderers came. They were not able to do anything. You see, then this movement became very famous, internationally famous. So even before, in 1974, Francois could coin this expression, Eco-Feminism. It was practiced. It was well a movement, you see. Now here, the concept is as the integrated oikos, echoed in the Indian Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. This Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. What is this Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam? This Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam is each individual life form learn to enjoy its benefits by forming a part of system. You see, in close relationship with other aspects, other species. You are a part of system. You see, as you find in the film Avatar, you are the part of the system. Let not any one species encroach upon other rights. You see, whether it is linguistic or financial or material or religious, let us not encroach upon others' rights. We can live. Shakespeare wrote a beautiful play. When he was young, he wrote the play A Midsummer Night's Dream, where he could create the entire cosmic universe. It was an early romantic comedy, but still you find such a enthusiastic, such a primitive wisdom in Shakespeare. See, he has all the four levels of characters in the play. The fairies who dwell in the forest, the heroic age king and queen, the aristocratic lovers, and the rude mechanicals who are in the bottom of the society. And inside the forest, you see, it is a combination of Tapovan and Shrivan and the natural forest. What happens there? The fairy queen, who is in the topmost rung of the hierarchical ladder, falls in love with Nick Bottom, the clown of the play, who is in the lowermost rung of the ladder. They fall in love. So it could be a Midsummer Night's Dream, it could be a dithyrambic ecstasy. But the truth is, Shakespeare believed, like Bharadiyar later sang, the Tamil poet Bharadiyar later sang, the crow and the sparrow are our caste. The vast ocean and the mountains are our gang. Whichever direction I look, I see only myself in everything. The longer I look, more dithyrambic grows the Dionysian dance. காக்கை குருவியங்கள் ஜாதி வான் கடலும் மலையும் எங்கள் கூட்டம் நோக்கும் திசையெல்லாம் யாமன்றி வேறில்லை நோக்க நோக்க களியாட்டம். Kaliyattam means, you see, there is a Kaliyattam in Kerala form folk art. In Tamil, Kaliyattam means the dithyrambic Dionysian dance. You see, you understand, like Emerson telling in Walden, you understand that nature as being your greatest critic. There is something not just reverent about nature, as in romantic poetry. It is not just pantheism. Nature tells us something about what we can be, what we really are. Something like Aham Brahmasmi. I myself am Brahma. The noblest of the man, Tirukural says. The noblest of the human beings. I again say noblest of the man with a purpose when I say noblest of the human beings. I will go to that later. You see, the chief of all virtues, as our teachers have told us, to sustain all lives by sharing our food. That is what the sacred couplet in Tamil, known as Tirukural, says. What is it? Pagutundu, Palluyir Ombi. You have to share your food. You have to consider that all species have equal right to enjoy. Then, how did it come to me so automatically as man? You see, what happened? What was the lapse in between? Why didn't I say human being? Why didn't I say woman? Whenever there is a question of gender, today we are supposed to use she or woman. Why do I say man? I said with a purpose. When man was used in the true sense of human being, later on they got misinterpreted. like how this Vaisudeva Kudumbagam and deep ecology in the West, Vasudhaiva Kudumbagam in the East, and deep ecology in the West. If Vasudhaiva Kudumbagam advocates that world is one family, we should not discriminate. What happens there? That becomes religious in the due course. The very name Vasudhaiva suggests Vaishnavite philosophy. But the philosophy which remains spiritual, which originated spiritual, now unfortunately became religious. So that became the practice of a particular people. Emerged certain ideas like no, killing animals is wrong, poaching is wrong. Ask any anthropologist or any environmentalist, they will tell us that no hunter, no hunting tribe will cause the extinction of any animal or bird. In fact, they will not. But these things became misinterpreted. Has it happened to deep ecology? What happened to deep ecology? Deep ecology started building a church. You see, so this life art, this art of living, what in a totally secular way, the Tamil Sangam poet Ganiyan Poongundranar, who was quoted by our former late President Abdul Kalam in UN conference. You see, that is still in UN conference. There are beautiful translations available. The best translation is by A.K. Ramanujan. You see, every town is my town. All human beings are my kinsmen. You see, Yadum Mure, Yavarum Kerir, Chidum Nandrum Piradharavara, Modalum Tanidalum Avatroran. It's a beautiful poem. It's a beautiful poem. The English translation is available. All the town is my town. All human beings are my kin. It is purely secular. The poem ends with the statement, we are not amazed by the great. Even so, we never belittle our inferiors. Because for that poet, nothing is inferior, nor anything is superior. Whereas what happened to deep ecology, which started as ICOS, as an integrated ICOS, which advocated environmentalism, the mixture of environmentalism and philosophy to suggest the beauty, the inherent beauty, the exquisite beauty, the inherent uniqueness in feminine woman. What happened? It became mystic. It became mystic. It became religious. So it became impracticable for many. The same thing happened. I don't know whether the deep ecologists deliberately misinterpreted or not, but they made it a cult. So the radical feminists were not able to accept it. You see, like Francois tells, radical feminism cannot accept such religious attitude because religious attitude would be exclusive, divisive. I am not an atheist. On my rear, there is a puja shelf. That is different. My religion is mine. It will never divide me. It will never segregate me from my fellow human beings. That is the practice. There were so many gods. Siru Devangal, they call it. Deities, you call it. The deities sometimes are our elders deified. The great ones deified, standing there as an icon for virtuous living, people with vision. You see, but what happened? This integrated oikos, which advocated that the individual, his family, her family, the land, the flora and fauna, the water, everything is one. You cannot segregate. You cannot compartmentalize. The oikos remained a household, art of household management. But what happened? Slowly it got translated into husbandry. But actually it should have been wifery. You see, because wives are the ones who save money and keep the family. 5 years back, the global economics accepted that Indian women have saved and the small savings. They have saved and rotated money more than the Indian government did. This is with Amritya Sen. You can check it. It is documented. So, wives managing, husbands should manage. That's different. But how they alone know husbandry? See, they alone know household management. Similarly, anthrop, which stands for human, it is neutral, became man. So anthropocentrism, you see, the diagram you have on your right is a picture drawn by Da Vinci. This is called Vitruvian Man. Da Vinci drew a circle, and however, the man, the frame of the man, in whatever shape, form it took, it will fit perfectly within the circle. Man as the perfect creation. You can find that echoed in certain literary passages like what a piece of work is man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, the paragon of all elements, you see, as Shakespeare says in Hamlet. You see, this becomes masculine, this becomes gender biased, prejudiced. You see, so anthropology, the study of humanity, became the study of man. Mankind ceased to be neutral, the expression. It was segregated, it became exclusive, not inclusive. So, human being as a supreme creation of God was twisted as male supremacy. It does not stand at that point. Here is where ecofeminism plays a very important role. Ecofeminism is not just about vegetation as nature, ecology. It is not about voting, education, property, or right over body like abortion rights alone. It is about everything. It is about climate change. It is about the reinvention of biodiversity. Reinvention. Yet, ecofeminism stands against modernism and scientific thinking in a sense. It is not against medicine. Like Tagore once told Mahatma Gandhi, you see, we need not be absolutely or ideologically or by principle and practice remain Swadesh. What is wrong in accepting things which are good coming from outside? Why can't we be inclusive? That is the major philosophical dispute between Mahatma Gandhi and Tagore. You see, like that, ecofeminism, remember, climate change, the extinction of species, biodiversity loss, industrialization, globalization, capitalization, you see, mapping, everything comes under the category of ecofeminism. So ecofeminism is like integrated oikos. You should, but modernism from 16th century, don't think that modernism belongs to late 19th or early 20th century. The birth of modern consciousness. The birth of modern consciousness started with Renaissance period itself, because knowledge can be attained through experimentation, like optical illusion or Galileo's concept of speed. All these things, Da Vinci's experiments with autopsy, all these things, you see, came in 16th, 17th century. The Italian Renaissance thinking through France entered England. And what happened then? This modernity, scientific thinking turned against human values. That is the problem. Industrialization. Good. Even Karl Marx says that human beings, a society from liberated from feudalism can enter socialism only through capitalism. The wealth which is flooded and kept like black money in one place first must be liberated. It's not that the father is the employer, so the son should also be the employer. If you deserve to be an employer, anyone can be an employer. So Marx also advocated that from feudalism to socialism, we can move through only capitalism. But what happened when people entered capitalism? They stopped at the point. Like that, when industrialization came, when capitalism came, when electricity came, that too, as they exploited nature, that too was exploited by these people, by the carcass, by the corridor ones, by the lobbies, by the pedagogy. They, they exploited that. Charlie Chaplin made it very exquisitely pointed, you see, biting humor. You see, in his famous film, I know you know what the film I have in my mind. The film is Modern Times. How the conveyor belt system, while increasing the produce, maybe simplifying the labor, no, it did not simplify the labor. It actually swindled, robbed the labor from the passion of making something, from the labor, the love attached to it. This is mine. Someone has invested, someone is going to consume it. But the tree which I saw was my tree. The water from the stream which I drank was my water. See, like that, this product was made by me. That's a sense of completion, what you call job satisfaction, which was robbed of from the labor. Exploitation of labor did not cause only the wages. Even though everything was so well defined, these owners exploited. The exploitation of labor is still going on for the teacher, not only for the proletarians. We are not white collars. You see, even teachers are being exploited, learned ones are being exploited. Everywhere, we don't have equal wage for all. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is justified ethically. I know what you mean. Everywhere there is exploitation. So this eco-feminism is very inclusive. It stands against this globalization tag, which actually is capitalist, Western. It moves, the trajectory is like this. So when you go to the West, the colonizers, naturally, there's no harm in saying that. You see, the male supremacy, how the male supremacy transformed colonizers' supremacy, the supremacy of the colonizers' language, the colonizers' education, the colonizers' fashion, food, and everything is considered to be superior to the colonized. Am I not making the point? The colonized. You see, that's a beautiful chapter in the book Serendipities, written by Umberto Eco. The chapter is titled as Language and Lunacy. The chapter talks about 5 various impacts this can leave upon the colonizers. There, among the 5, there is cultural anarchy. There is cultural pillage. Also, they are also there. Not just cultural exchange and cultural exoticism. Cultural pillage, cultural anarchy is there. So the male became the symbol of power, king, colonizer, slave master, the capitalist. They became privileged. The privilege of the male, the privilege of the colonizer, the privilege, the white male privilege. See, Bible was also misinterpreted, not only ecologically, but also gender-based misinterpretations. Bible was misinterpreted as man has every right over other species. That was not the idea. When God created everything, one after another, he said he saw to that and saw them beautiful. That is how the passages end in Genesis. Creation. In the creation, God found everything, and every creation ends with the statement, he saw them beautiful. So everything is beautiful. The ancient mariner is punished because of calling those sea species as slimy things. The albatross, which should have remained as a symbol of peace, rather became a burden around his neck. It was a punishment, cosmic punishment given by God. It was Dyke, it was Nemesis. But these people misinterpreted Bible, anthropocentrism. You see, man-centered universe. Man is superior, gender-based, gender-biased. I don't use man here as a neutral for humanity. You see, man is superior to woman, man is superior to nature. The ego, you see, the ego is actually an antonym for eco. You see, eco says all are straight. There is no linear, non-linear structure. Non-linear structure. It is not that the center defining the margin. The margin can also blur the center. You see, margin and the center are relative expressions. So, like nature, women were also exploited. Why those women came to the front to fight against the tree fellers? Because the tree stands there not only to burn to make tools. You know what I am meaning. The tree gives them protection. In the tribal villages, they may not for firewood to answer the nature calls. They need this nature. You cannot convert this nature, you cannot destroy this nature into plains. The tragedy still exists in many of our government schools where they don't have even good restrooms, what about good, even restrooms for washrooms for girls. So they needed trees, you see. So when the trees, majority of the rapings of tribal women happen when they go to fetch firewood or when they go to answer nature call in such tribal areas, you know that. And I should tell you one more thing that every year in India, every year, 3 tribal women are raped. You see, even now, every year, 3 tribal women are raped. And this is because they don't have protection. They don't have protection. So women are the stakeholders. That is the exact term we must, more than men. Women are the stakeholders. Whereas this male world, like asking the lower class people, in those days, they would ask the lower class people not to have bathrooms. Women had to bathe in the open. You see, they cannot. This kind of violence, this kind of subjugation. So this, whether it is east or west, anthropocentrism became man-dominated. Women, nature, the colonized, the poor, and the underprivileged were all subjugated. That is why the primitive wisdom, not only the primitive wisdom, stood against modern science. The eco-feminists also stand against modernism because modern science plus industrialization has caused capitalism and globalization, which in fact the flyovers you have in the big cities, the welfare governments had already converted, transformed, metamorphosed the slums into cities. Now the cities are converted, towns are converted into slums by these flyovers. When my daughter doesn't have a decent washroom in her school, what am I going to do with these flyovers on which you spend hundreds of thousands of crores for a few companies to move? You see, don't think that is done to ease the traffic. I don't mind talking about that. You see, so this is the reason modern science, industrialization, which caused capitalism and globalization, caused poverty, crime, consumerism, dehumanization, pollution, disorder, climate change, and anthropogenic disasters. Totally, they were all convinced. You see, so we have to be we have to be very careful. You see, let not people pit just a man gender against a woman. It's not that. Male here has become a symbol of all kinds of authority. That's what ecofeminism says. This power, this concept, if a woman behaves like this, she's not a woman. She's not a woman. I am not trying to define the grammar of woman. No, 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 no. This should not be misinterpreted. You see, power, if one uses power in corrupt way, then he or she is a colonizer. Women are mostly subjugated, as Ambai has written in her breast stories. You see, women are subjugated. You see, so what are the basic tenets of ecofeminism? Women are the major stakeholders of ecological system. You see, women are nature. Women are nature. Not just bringing the firewood, collecting the firewood alone. Women are nature because they are the one who are breeding and feeding. You see, even when food became a produce, food should have remained a natural phenomenon. What is hailed today as what was hailed today in 70s as green revolution now is accused of causing this natural disaster, having broken the symbiosis. You see, when the World War came to an abrupt end, the chemicals they had, which they kept for a prolonged war, they did not know what to do. So what did they do? They used these chemicals to make pesticides. Where to take these pesticides? Like the food grains, like the third world became the depositors of the food produce. The pesticides were also bought, and they created an unnatural demand for food. There was no demand. There was no demand. We had enough food, but these capitalists wanted to use the pesticide, they dumped it in nations like India. So we started using pesticides. The IR rises, IR8, IR20, so many. So what happened when we used pesticides? We killed the species, many micro species. And since they were killed, they were annihilated. We don't have birds. Since we don't have birds, we don't have bird droppings. Since we don't have bird droppings, we don't have trees. Since we don't have trees, we don't have rain. Since we don't have rains, we don't have crops. You see, they have broken this symbiosis. That is why the anthropogenic disorder, you see, ecofeminism stands against this anthropogenic disorder, and women are the major stakeholders of the ecological system. So gender equality, patriarchal, non-linear structures, a dialogue between the temporal margin and the center. Nothing is permanent. A human life which is inclusive of organic processes. A matrixial attitude. Now, Bracha Yettinger, the queen of psychology, our contemporary psychologist, you see, Bracha Yettinger, has come out with matrixial attitude, an inclusive attitude. which does not create a conflict between man and woman, which creates an inclusive attitude. You see, the perspective of symbiosis. What kind of perspective should be there? A holistic perspective of symbiosis. So, that should be founded on non-materialistic view of intuition and collaboration. We cannot always expect returns, material returns. We are not making broiler chicken, fast food. These are values to sustain humanity. William Faulkner, in his Nobel Prize acceptance speech, the American writer William Faulkner, in his Nobel Prize acceptance speech, said that humanity will prevail not because it has a language, not because it has all the complexities to manipulate, to win over other species, not that. You see, humanity will prevail because it is capable of compassion. Says so. There are many things. You see, the pioneers. I talked about Rachel Carson's Silent Spring in Indian context. That's what precisely she says in that book in 1962. You see, 1962, she pointed out how pesticides spoiled. It created a furor. You see, and radical eco-feminism. Again, it said is commodification of women and nature. See, so what will happen? Commodification, that loss of values, cultural eco-feminism, gender roles, and sensitivity towards nature and nature worship, inclusiveness. You see, deep ecology, had it not turned towards mysticism, it would have existed because it addressed pregnancy and other variants which are unique to women. Like Wordsworth would have said, thou hast thy music too. You see, when you close the door, each and every species has its unique value. We are not amazed by anything, nor do we belittle anything, like the Changam poet Kaniyan Pungundanar, whom I have already quoted, says. So, contemporary eco-feminism acknowledges the effects of race, class, ethnicity, and sexuality on the social positions of women. All these things ought to be taken in. The salary received by women against men, you see, for a man, the higher salary, you see. So, for a race, you see, how racial exploitation, racial prejudices, class divisions, ethnicity, sexuality, all these things ought to be taken into consideration. That is what contemporary eco-feminism says. You see, there are, what I want you to do actually is, due to the constraint of time, we have to close it. You see, but what I want you to do is how this relationship between man and nature, man and woman, has been variously interpreted over eras, ages. We should consider that. For example, Herman Melville talks about anthropocentrism, whereas Hemingway talks about if you do not bend before nature, nature will break you. While romantic poetry talks about pantheism, Raymond Williams asks us to concentrate on also on urban proliferate. While Emerson takes nature as a supreme critic, Albert Camus acknowledges nature as the antagonism between nature and man. While Seamus Honey, the Irish poet, talks about nature as something inherent, the reflection of human self, like something like a pathetic fallacy. W.B. Yeats neutralizes everything as with his gyre concept. So these are some certain things which should create dialectic debates on nature and women. Have we come to our closure? You see, Mahasweta Devi's breast stories. See, Mahasweta's breast stories, they present the three different ways. There are three stories. The three stories present various ways in which woman's body is viewed and exploited, and how woman reacts to that. In Draupad, the woman uses her body as a weapon because she was exploited. In the breast giver, how the woman feeds children and how she is ignored. And Choli Ke Piche, in my time, Choli Ke Piche was a famous song, popular, notorious song. You see, Choli Ke Piche, beyond borders, not what is covering what the body covers. You see, woman's breast has taken as a pleasure object. You see how women are exploited and how women should react to that. Mahaswaita Devi asked this need for dialectic debates. You see, thank you so much. Thank you so much. There are the thank you slide. The thank you slide has something again for you to concentrate upon. See, one is on my left is the picture of a small plant which actually grew in my front yard. A vegetable seller, a woman, an old lady from village, entered and she looked at the plant and she said, in Tamil, she said, Kolu Kolu, Kolu Kolunu Varandru, Kolu Kolunu. She should have said Tala Tala. She said Kolu Kolu. Kolu Kolu is generally used for a child. For plant, we say Tala Tala. You see. But I was bemused. Then I understood. For her, a child and the plant are not different from each other. That is the right attitude. That is the primitive wisdom. That is the natural ecological sensibilities we had, our forefathers had, which we should nurture and sustain. Thanks for your patience. Thank you so much.
So thank you, sir.
Did I barge into the question session?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, sure, I hear you.
Sir, here comes the question from Ranjani Priya.
Welcome,
How could women face and overcome the challenges in ecological imbalance, especially with less women representation in decision-making spheres? Can I repeat the question, sir?
Yeah, no. It's a beautiful question. Beautiful question. This question has two distinct units. One is there is no distribution of equal power between man and woman. So can a woman remain a decision maker? Shall I share as a man the secret with the questioner and to the women participants here? You see, the secret is the most precious thing for a man is his woman. See, he may not accept it, but if you want to scare a man, you see, you may not be able to scare a man by saying, I'll hit you, I will expel you, I'll fire you from your job, I will take away your property. You cannot scare a man, a real man. But if you say, I will touch your woman, or if a man comes to know that his woman is in love with somebody else, naturally the man breaks down. When Desdemona stupidly suspects, when Othello stupidly suspects Desdemona to have fallen in love with his friend, what Othello says is, my occupation is gone. It's not that my woman is gone. So, a woman has subtle power. So, a woman, this power, this right cannot be given. You have to take it. You have to take it. Education, economic independence, and nurturing yourself. You see, sorry for quoting this term, which is very orthodox, virtuousness. Virtuousness does not have anything to do with chastity of this kind, one man for one woman. I don't think so. That's individual's desire. But virtue, word, deed, thought, virtue. See, a woman can become very powerful, very powerful. All right, this being on one hand. On the other hand, the nature can be nurtured by woman as well as by man. But how can a woman make decision? If you do not have an estate, you can have a flower pot. Do what you can. Edward Bond, the modern British dramatist, would say that instead of one single person rising in his full throat, it is better for thousands of people to whisper, he would say. So, the collective effort which starts from an individual, a tree at your front yard, and keeping yourself and others clean. Now you see in the pandemic period, it has come to this. Ultimately, we have returned to that circle. Point one. What is the point? Personal hygiene, social distance, and immunity. So nature plays a vital role here. When I look at Madurai is gone for the second lockdown. When I look out of my window, I see the trees standing still. The streets are empty. You see, where were you running? Where were you running? So don't worry, ma'am. Don't worry. You do what you can, and never ever power or freedom can be given by others. That is why I quoted Kaniyan Pungundanar in the beginning. தீதும் நன்றும் பிறர் தரவாரா. Neither good or bad will come from outside. You see, we can resist. We can resist. You see, we have to be free. We have to live free. We cannot, nobody can give us freedom. See, and how can we become powerful? From ourselves, we can become powerful. So it is very much within our control. Perseverance is important. All of us may have initiative, but do we have perseverance? The other day, the reporter quoted Mamta Patkar. He just accidentally saw her inside a railway compartment, a second class railway compartment, in a parching heat. She was sitting there perspiring. She was obviously tired. But he could identify her, and he went and talked with her. Very tired, she still was ready to respond to the reporter. And she said, the reporter said, "You are very tired." "Yes, I am thirsty," she said. And she said, "Do you have water?" The reporter took out the water. You see, the water bottle, what you call the purified water, and gave it to her, the mineral water. He gave it to her. Mamta Patekar said, "Do you call this water?" She returned water and stood, and just she remained. You see, so we can remind perseverance is very important. You see, they can take everything from us, not our dignity, not our self-respect. That is the most important thing. Self-respect cannot be given from outside. Self-respect must be inside. And perseverance is very important. Thanks for this question. This is a takeaway question for me too. Me too. Thank you. Shall we go to the next question?
Yeah, sure, sir. The next question is from Rachel Sampson.
Please.
What is your opinion on the wrong interpretation of feminism by women these days?
Women.
What is your opinion these days? Hello?
What is your opinion about? What's the question? Come again. Rupana, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. What is your opinion on the wrong interpretation of feminism by women these days?
What I don't know what they call wrong interpretation. Wrong interpretation. Men suffocate women. Women would come out, see my thanks slide. In the thanks slide, I have given it as women would come out breaking the frame. We cannot call it wrong. You see, that is a reaction. That is a reaction. We need not be agitated by some women behaving How can we call it rudely? You see, maybe the questioner may have come across women who behave rudely, or what he calls um, uh, man haters. Man haters. You see, uh, androphobic, androphobic women. You see, it's not the point. Not the point. Women are reactive. When reformation comes, when revolution comes, Mao says, when revolution occurs, people would initially consider it as a rebellion. See, but rebellion is a way in which revolution will go. Unless you break something, how can you rebuild it? Iconoclasm. So we have certain expectations. In the last webinar, already I told, you see, we have even in language, women language. You see, we are shocked to find women speaking certain words, maybe abusive or what you call masculine expressions. When they speak it, you see, I was shocked out of it when my favorite actress, Tamil actress Nandanam, this actor, I shut it in Tamil in a movie. I never expected a woman to speak like that. This is our drawback, because we have language as masculine language, feminine language. Women should dress up like this. Men should do like this. You see, that is why I told you that in Europe, when punk culture came, women started trimming their hair and men started growing their hair. It is a rebellion. First, everything will start as a rebellion. We must accept it. Adangamaru, Timuri Elu. Refuse to be subjugated. Break free. When you break, certain chips would go. We have to bear it. Men should be broad enough to bear it, because for many times, for centuries, for epochs and epochs, initially we maybe get angry or upset, but we should learn. Men should learn to come over it. And as in the tank slide, you see, you should hold the woman by the hip and help her come out of the frame. We should do that. We should do that. That is what a man is. That is what a man is. If you really respect man, you see. Have I answered your question?
Thank you, sir. Hello, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I'm on the line. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah. Sir, next question is by R. Geeta. She would like to know about your views about future ecofeminism. Your views on future ecofeminism.
Yes. Women have come out. Women have come out. We should learn. We should learn to build a dialogic society. Women have come out. You cannot stop it. See that advertisement. Why should we stop it? That's a basic question. You see, and there are going to be reactions, extreme reactions. You see, if we were very orthodox, then we would be rudely knocked out of our complacency. That would happen. For example, there are some advertisements I see. Noam Chomsky would answer it. Roland Barthes would answer it. They reflect what is happening to the society now. In many of the advertisements, like the media advertisements, many of the advertisements, you see men in household and women going out to for shopping, to earn, and especially this unshaved face of the man tells this man is out of job. This man is out of job, sitting in the sofa couch and watching television. And the woman enters into the frame, carrying a basket or a handbag. You see, she enters the frame, which tells that woman is a go-getter now. Man has become the angel of the house. You see, such reactions would happen. Such reactions would happen. Like Periarism, such reactions would happen. You see, we have to first accept it, that it is a reaction. And then we should move on towards a better society. If we do not respect, preserve nature, it is going to be apocalypse. It is going to be disaster. No other. The other day in the American College, Skillet Library, Study Center for Indian Literature and English and Translation Library, I came across a book on India which is titled as All the World is a Spittoon. This is what the world outside thinks. All the world is a spittoon. You can spit wherever you want to. You can brush it against other people. Is that what a community is? This is not a community. This is not living together. This is not a civilization. You see, we should preserve cleanliness, hygiene by personal habits. The lessons we prescribe to our children should be in such a way. That is why the last basic tenet of eco-feminism tells us, you see, the sensibilities should be alive. That is what contemporary feminism, contemporary eco-feminism advocates. See, the sensibilities, finer sensibilities should be preserved. We cannot, because nature is a part of us. We cannot live without nature. Just by building, constructing a few buildings, we cannot overcome or overpower nature. So we have to nurture, we have to sustain, we have to pay attention to the nature. Shakespeare would say, nothing would happen without a symptom, without a sign. It may be sentimental, it may be spiritual or religious. Nature has been warning us for a very long time. Women have been warning us for a very long time. You see, we turned a deaf ear. We thought it's better if I. There was a film, documentary, Day After Tomorrow. Because whenever we were told, don't do this, we will say, it won't happen tomorrow. I away. You see. Then the movie said, it may not be tomorrow, but it will be day after tomorrow. You may be gone, but your children will be here. What are we going to leave for our children as a world, as a life? That is very important. That's vitally important. So it is our personal responsibility, the responsibility of each and every individual. That kind of responsibility is the need of the hour today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the wonderful answer. So the next, there are few participants would like to know the role of law in feminism.
Yes, yes. I don't have the constitution numbers with me now, but in each and every educational institution nowadays, the women students are well oriented with the constitutional rights. You see, property right, right for education, right for equality, see, right over your body, right over your body. These are very important. I'm telling you one thing. You see, in Hindu Marriage Act, bigamy is unconstitutional. But nobody can force one person to live with a particular person. If you legally marry somebody else while your wife or husband is alive, that is wrong. But no one can force you. So your liberty, law has spaces there. Even you can remain a Hindu. In Christianity, there may not be a divorce. And the triple talaq has been grossly misinterpreted by the corrupt priests of Islam. Triple talaq say that you are not able to live with the other person, then you are given a space, time to test it, waiting period. Then after that, again if you feel so, then the property divisions happen. The talks go on, and finally they are separated. So these three phases are important. Christianity, Hinduism may not allow, but a woman need not be a slave to a man, or a man need not be a slave to a woman. If you don't feel like, I'm not going to the extreme of Periyar or Mavu, because immediately some may ask, what will you do if it happens to you? Periyar said, if this thali, this sacred thread is going to be a yoke around your head, you remove it. You remove it. If you think women alone should wear this, ask men also to wear it. Why should women alone bear the symbol of marriage? Is it not the responsibility of man also? Then somebody asked Periyar. Periyar was an original thinker. Original thinker. We always think of Periyar in atheistic terms. That is only part of his self-respect concept is inclusive of all these things. Atheism, radicalism, self-respect, feminism, all these things are inclusive in Periyar. Periyar is really a great original thinker. You see, once he asked to the congressman while he was felicitating Mahatma Gandhi's fasting in Erode. He was a congressman then. He said, all right, let Gandhiji's fasting come out successful. He was not he was not Periyar then. He was Ive Ramasamy Nayakar. So he said, you see, I pray to Almighty. I pray to Almighty for the success of Gandhi's fasting. But what I would like to know is, what do you mean by Swadesh? What do you mean by liberation? What do you mean by freedom? If India is governed by an Indian citizen, can we call it freedom? If it is so, why Russians are revolting against that? So first define what freedom is. Like that, you see, Gandhi, Periyar said that woman need not remain subjugated to man. If you say, what about breeding children? You beget children with a man whom you like. Mao went to another extreme. See, he said, you beget children, government would take care of. But Mao ended very tragically as a failure, as a very tragic failure. Mao ended because something happened. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. That happened to Mao in his personal life as well as in Chinese history. But Periyar remained, he said, you see, if this marriage system is going to enslave the human being, you come out of it. You come out of it. You don't need that system for anything. You see, it should be enriching you. Man or woman, it should be enriching you. See, there was another question, previous question had this point, how people wrongly interpret, some women wrongly interpret feminism. Man is not your, that is why I quoted Braca Ettinger's matrixal theory. It should be inclusive. Man and woman can work together. That's why I quoted Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. That is, the world, this cosmic universe is so vast that all of us can work together side by side towards our individual prosperity as well as collective prosperity. We can do that. We can do that. So man need not grow jittery. So there are many constitutional rights for women. You see, not only a reservation in marriage, in education, you see the harassment, sexual harassment is not just physical touching and other things. If two men in the presence of a woman spoke objectionable language, that in itself is a harassment. You see, the harassment in itself is not about sex, it is about power. You see, the master would do anything. The master and his mistress would do anything in the presence of a slave, because slaves are not human beings. If we do not behave properly in the presence of other sex, we treat the other sex as a slave and we as superior to them. Not only sex, other human beings. Other human beings. We think of ourselves as superior. This is master tendency, master-slave relationship. So there are so many laws today. You see, women have many rights, many rights. The physical strength of women is the need of the hour now for their protection, for their protection. Men also should be taught, it should be inculcated at a very early age. We should think of our sons, our brothers, what kind of sons and brothers we are bringing up. That is very important. That's very important. So such values should be inculcated at a very early age, especially with the advent of information technology and media boom. You must be very careful. What I am watching is my grandchild is also watching. We must check it. Last evening there was something like a Bond film. The Bond film was meant to be a triple X film. It was meant to be viewed by all age group, violence apart, because of the thrill there. But in the commercial break, there was a condom advertisement. So candid the advertisement was. You see, is there no regulation? It is our responsibility. Alejandro made a film titled Baber. You see, in the film he tells America, don't think that you make weapons and sell it to world outside. The gun you sold to Jamaica would hit your American tourists there. So it will வினை விதைத்தவன் வினையறுப்பான். How what you sow, you reap. So if we think male chauvinism gives us power, then our sons, our brothers, our sons, our grandsons will become a disaster. They'll become failures because there cannot be a life without man and woman. Why should we talk about man and woman are unknown? There are sexes. We don't know the difference between sex, gender, and inclinations, sexual orientation. I had an excellent student who openly said he was androgynous. He has written an excellent book titled மறைக்கப்பட்ட உண்மைகள், hidden truth. He got $4,000 scholarship from American School of Psychology. Now his book is prescribed in American college, in the Tamil department. He was my favorite student. He would tell me, sir, I am an androgynous. You see, we just consider, if we talk about man and woman, what about transgenders? What about so many other sexes, genders here? So we must be inclusive. We must know that there are human beings, there are other species who have equal rights. This was how Kalki Subramanian and I became friends. This was how Priya Babu and I became friends. You see, fine people, intellectuals. You see, they should have right to decide their lives. We cannot dictate someone else's life unless it affects you. If it has a general affectation, it has a social inflection, then we can talk about that. Eco-feminism today is inclusive of gay lesbian studies because it talks about basic right to choose your sex, right to choose your life. You see, that is what contemporary eco-feminism is. There are rights, but what happened a couple of years back? The Supreme Court, they tried to criminalize transgenders, homosexuals. Then there was again, after a very long time, they got the right to decide their sex. Now suddenly some petition came, and a couple of years back, the Supreme Court criminalized the sexual act. You see, so again they filed a petition, and now they got the right. So there are so many constitutional rights for women. We don't have to worry about that. We should know how to use them proper. We should be inclusive. Don't hate men. Don't hate men.